every life has a spark, a truth the heart never forgets.
And sometimes one conversation is enough to bring it back.
No ego, no noise, just real insights that inspire and brighten the path ahead.
Because living with love isn't an idea, it's a choice that we make every day. Welcome back to Swiss Impact with Sveta and Ben, where we meet the people who don't wait for the future, they build it.
Today, we go under the surface into the oceans that regulate our climate, feed our world, and are now suffocating under plastic. Collapsing ecosystems and microplastic is in our own bodies. And yet, some people look at this and say, we can change it.
And our guest today is one of them, Juergen Roider. He's a serial entrepreneur, founder and chairman of Ocean Quest International and the Ocean Robotics Project, a global network using kelp forests, ocean farming, and climate robotics to help restore our seas.
From kelp corridors of Namibia and South Africa to underwater greenhouses and smart drones, Ocean Quest is turning science fiction into climate solutions. So I would love to welcome Jürgen to Swiss Impact. Welcome, Jürgen. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Sveta. Thank you, Ben. It's an honor to be here. So I'm very excited to tell my story to your audience, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
So, Jürgen, when you wake up in the morning and think of your work, what is the first image that appears? A kelp forest, a robot, or a beach full of plastic?
Actually, the oceans. And then, of course, I think about all the problems which we have today and how it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, and that we have a lot of work ahead. I'm waking up now earlier and earlier, so in the meanwhile, it's 4:30.
Take us to that moment that everything changed. Maybe you were sailing, expecting pristine islands, and instead you saw plastic everywhere. What did you see and what happened inside of you in that moment?
Right. So actually, I was a serial entrepreneur. I made a break a few years ago, 2018, 2019. We were sailing with a few yachts across the eastern part of the Caribbean. And at a certain day, so we were sailing hours over hours through garbage, dead fish, also dead dolphins. And this was really a shock. And so we all agreed to make something against it. And this was the starting point of a new community. And at the beginning, we didn't think at all about founding a company. So we were working 3, 4, 5 years as volunteers, making cleanup projects and having new ideas, developing new robots.
Okay. And many people feel that shock and then go back to their normal lives. What stopped you from looking away, and how did that feeling become the first concrete steps of Ocean Quest?
I mean, the years afterwards, I was much more sensitive. And last 10 years, when you all remember, we saw more and more pictures on television about dead whales, about oil catastrophes, and also about toxination. And so for me, I decided then really to stop my old work. I sold my company with 760 people about in 2022, and now invested from this point on every money, every time, and dedicated my life to overcome these problems as a new starting point for a new community.
So what was this why? Like why you couldn't just go back to the life as you had?
I was working like a lot of people in a typical business. In my case, it was IT, digital transformation. I did this very successfully, but after 20, 25 years, you want to do anyhow something new. And when you become 50 years and more, you think about, okay, why you are here? So what you want to do on this world? What is your fingerprint or footprint? And for me, it was clear I cannot go on any longer with my old job. I must do something where I can help people, where I can make impact, also a vision for young people. And since I started this new journey, so my life changed completely. And honestly, I feel now much better doing a work which helps really a lot of people, more people than before.
That's very true. But say, imagine you are at a dinner party and someone asks you, Jürgen, what exactly is Ocean Quest? How do you answer it in two, three simple sentences?
Ocean Quest is carrying out global projects in the environmental area. So we have three pillars: environmental engineering cleanups, like cleanup Lake Victoria. Second is about kelp farming or carbon capture and storage. And third is ocean farming with new spheres. And all this with the help of new developed robots and drones from our own business unit, Robotics and AI. And the combination is for us the key to be successful because we wanted to be different. We wanted to solve problems from a complete new point of view.
Nice. And Jürgen, you mentioned kelp, right? But for many people, they know forests on land, but kelp is still kind of a mystery. So why is kelp one of the most powerful allies we have for climate, for biodiversity, and even for microplastics?
Kelp is one of the most important plants on our planet. It's an algae, actually. And this algae or seaweed can absorb 20 times more than a comparable area of rainforest. And so we thought about the projects, what we can do. And then a new idea was born. So we are starting now in Namibia and South Africa, but have also already very few laboratories in Australia and New Zealand. And the idea is to build a belt of kelp around Antarctica, so between Antarctica and three continents, covering 7 countries and 3 huge ocean plateaus. And this idea, this vision, first time has the potential to solve the climate problem. I can give you afterwards some figures so that you get a better imagination how powerful this project can be.
Ocean Quest is about robotics, drones, and AI. So if I stand with you for one day on a project site, what do your robots actually do that humans can't?
Regarding kelp, you would need for big projects like ours a lot of scuba divers, actually hundreds of scuba divers. Maybe you know how it works. So a scuba diver can go down 3 times a day, maybe 40 minutes, maximum 40 meters. And a robot can do the same work 7.24 hours. And it's on the one side much cheaper, and on the other side it's less risky than for scuba divers. We do not use robots because we are it's so fancier because we love technology. We use robots because it's much more efficient. And of course, there are areas where we need humans, where replacement with robots would be too complex.
Mhm.
So it's a mix between the right teams, human teams, and the right type of robots and drones. In the meanwhile, we use also artificial intelligence to develop new robots and drones.
Wow. And if you look at the business side, where do you see the strongest commercial potential? Kelp products, robotics, or the data and the AI layer?
For us, and regarding new business plans, I was also surprised that Kelp is a extremely profitable way of doing business. For example, in Namibia, we have the chance to get 20,000 hectares of coastline from the government. And here we can plant a few millions of kelp trees. And the potential here is overall 50 million tons of carbon dioxide absorbed by kelp, only in Namibia, without thinking about the belt of kelp around Antarctica, which has extreme high potential. And for 1 ton of kelp, you can get today about $200 when you make biochar out of it. So we intend to build up a biochar plant. And second, you can also sell it as a fertilizer in the case that carbon credits are no longer accepted on the market. That's a little bit of risk today due to the new administration in North America, as you might know.
There are other cleanup projects, right? So why do you think, or how are you different from those already existing ones that there was a need to create something new?
So Kelp is, of course, not a cleanup project. It's a major, primarily a carbon capture and storage or removal project. There are, of course, some competitors on the market focusing on food, focusing on pharmaceuticals. The ones who want to do the same like us. So we analyze that they are thinking much too small. So when we face today a world with 37 gigatons of carbon dioxide, you have to find a solution which will absorb at least a quarter or maybe one third of this complete amount. And only when we roll out the project over the southern hemispheres with really billions of kelp trees, then we have a real chance to do so. And this is one problem which was not targeted in the past, in the last 30 years. And second, we were also wondering why nobody was using our modern technology. So robots are not really new. Also, drones are existing for 20 years, but nobody was using it. So our focus is that we have now, we think, the right mix between the strength of the nature, the biology, plus the knowledge of our engineers. And in this way, so we are convinced we are on the right path. That's what makes me also optimistic that we have now first time a process, a project where we can fight against the climate change.
And when you look at how humans are treating the planet today, what's wrong with humans in your eyes?
Humans, especially in the Western Hemisphere, live in a very wealthy and healthy bubble, I think. And when everything is fine, you just want that everything remains like it is. And you try to forget negative impact when you're on a holiday. Everybody, of course, have seen plastic on the beaches, but compared to Africa or places where we are working, in Asia and Latin America. So North America, Europe is a very, very clean area. So we are not working in areas where the tourists are. We are working in areas where you think it's hell, yeah? Where there are really mountains of garbage, mountains of plastic, where young children are walking around trying to find something to eat, trying to get a little bit of material which they can sell. So it's really apocalyptic. And this is one of the things I learned and how valuable our work is to save and heal the
Hmm.
planet.
Hmm.
Exactly. But despite of all the signs, the behavior is changing really slowly. So what honestly gives you hope? And in your happiest vision of the future, what does a world with a healed ocean looks like?
So what gives me hope is that we are growing almost by 1,000% the last 2 years in terms of people, in terms of community. And the expected revenue is tremendous. This gives me really hope that we are on the right journey. Regarding, of course, when you look at the whole world, I foresee that probably it will be 10, 20 years getting more worse before the last one understood that we have a problem.
And for someone watching and thinking, I want to be part of this, what are the three most important kind of support you need in the next 12 to 24 months?
So there are three major pillars. First one, people. People are most important with the same mindset. And we are welcoming really everybody, pupils. We welcome students which are ambitious and want to see how it works, how they can help. Also people from universities. Second one is, of course, to scale up, we need money. So far, all the 8 years were self-funded, based on our own money and due to the sale of our old companies. But the example from Namibia or the belt of kelp around Antarctica is so big. So we talk here about billions of dollars, which we don't have. The nice thing, however, is you can build up very small kelp farms for a few $100,000, and every kelp farm is a part of the big picture, and you can scale it up from very small money to very big money. So for every kind of investment, this kelp dream or vision is suitable in our eyes and very profitable. And for pupils, we think also about in future a small area for crypto money and digital coins, because this is a way how we can reach the young people. They do not like the old style. So we have adapted to them because we want to have them on board in the millions of people, hopefully. The third one is collaboration. The thing where we are really very bad and not successful, we tried to get more into context European Union or United Nations or large NGOs. But since myself and all my partners are from classic businesses, we never learned how to approach these big organizations. So compared to small NGOs, so they are in this case much better. And here we have really a big gap. And any hint or any bridge we can get to get a contact for these guys or people in European Union, UN, big NGOs is very, very appreciated.
Nice. Jürgen, if you could leave our audience with one image to remember from this conversation, one picture of the future oceans, what would it be?
Besides knowing all the problems in the oceans, people should spend a few days out in the ocean on a small sailing ship and enjoy the peace, the richness of nature, and you think you're in another world. So go away from the civilization, try to be in nature, can be also in the rainforest, and then I guess you're a newborn.
Yeah, that's very true.
And what would you say to asset owners who are still thinking about to do or not to do, to act or not to act? What would you say?
I mean, we welcome really all people helping us. And as mentioned, we need now fresh money. The very good thing is that we can really start very, very small. So if their investors have some doubts, we can start with a small kelp farm owned by a specific investor for only 2, 3, 400K. And then they can see, okay, how profitable it is. So the risk is small, but I can guarantee you that the contribution margin, which we have in a really worst case situation, is still 30 to 70%, which is extremely good. And beside that, they should know they do something really good, because it's not only about profit, it's about the environmental impact. And by the way, only in Namibia, we have about 600 local people, fishermen, which cannot go out because there is no more fish. Families which cannot do their business because there is no more business. All these people get work with our company, with our project. And so it's really a mix between several things. Even if the profit is maybe the first year not sky high, we have a good feeling. And when we can convince a lot of people, a lot of organizations, I'm convinced we have now a method to overcome the climate change. It will take 10, 15, 20 years, but the best point is to start now and
Yeah.
not in 10 or 20 years.
When it's too late. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jürgen, thank you so much for your courage, for your vision, for your action, and for giving the most precious you have, your time, to the planet and to its inhabitants to do something about the challenges that we are facing. Thank you so much for your
An
love.
honor speaking to you, and thank you for the invitation, and greetings to all of your audience, and looking forward to see you next time.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Jürgen.
Jürgen. And
Thank
to our
you.
viewers, thank you for joining this Swiss Impact with Ben and myself. If this moved you, share it with someone who still believes real change is impossible. Maybe they simply haven't met the right people yet.
Thank you for sharing this space with us today.
Remember, real impact begins the moment you stop running from who you are.
Let today's story remind you that every soul carries light, even through darkness.
Until next time, stay open, stay human, and lead with love.